Hajime, welcome back to Comic-Jutsu. JT McRoberts here with you, and I'm going to walk you through another edition of What Comics Did You Buy This Week? That's right, we're going to take a look at the stuff that I scored this week in the local stores or online. So let's get started. First up, we have my scores from the secondhand bookstore. Believe it or not, I did not buy any brand new comics this week from my local comic shop. I did stop by the secondhand bookstore and I ordered a few things online, and I did get one new item, but it's not a new comic book or even a graphic novel. It is a specialty item for artists that you will see here at the end of this video, so stay tuned. All you folks that keep dropping out of my What Comics Did You Buy This Week videos early need to stick around to the end to see what my special surprise is. Okay, so I made my regular rounds through the secondhand stores in the city, and I was excited to find a few recent installments of a series that came out a few years ago now, but I really enjoyed it. I found several issues of History of the Marvel Universe, written by Mark Waid, with art by Javier Rodriguez and Alvaro Lopez. I really like this series. I grabbed a few issues of it when it initially came out, and back in the day, I bought a bunch of those Marvel Saga books when they came out. I really love that stuff. I love seeing, decades and decades of superhero stories distilled down into their purest form. That's when the overall plot lines are a lot clearer than they may be in the ongoing series that come out every month, and you also get to see repeated themes and motifs, and to me, some of the symbolism and the archetypes become much clearer. So I really dig this series. I was glad to be able to find it for a really cheap price at the secondhand bookstore. So I scored number 2. Number 3, here you can see the Fantastic Four encounters with some of their big villains, Doctor Doom, Annihilus. Number 4, we get into Spider-Man there. And number 5, the almighty Doc Doom on the cover. Carnage, which I'm not such a huge fan of, but that's beside the point. So anyway, well, there you can see the ad for Endgame there on the back. So this was a few years ago when this was initially released, but I really dig these, and I was real excited to find these on the shelf, or in the box rather, in the secondhand box. Also, I moved a step closer to completing my John Byrne run of the Fantastic Four. Here you see I have, I believe this is a Legends figure bonus book. I'm not sure what figure this was included with, because mind you, I got it just this issue by itself, but it's a reprint of Fantastic Four 233, and you can see it's got the Human Torch there on the cover. This was right at the start of John Byrne's run, where he had taken over both the story and the art in the world's greatest comic magazine, the Fantastic Four, which in my opinion is still the apex of his work. I mean, it's definitely tied neck and neck with his work on the Uncanny X-Men, but as far as both writer and artist, his work on the Fantastic Four was really his best. He really got those characters and did a lot to make those stories really sing. Now you'll see next, I found something that fits right in with that. Whoever keeps bringing their back issue magazines to the secondhand store, Odin bless you. I appreciate it, because I love these books. Honestly, I would buy all of them if I could get them at secondhand store prices. I mean, and you'll actually see I have a more recent issue that I purchased online, and I paid a lot more for. But this, I got it super dirt cheap. It is number 38. And what does it feature? Well, we were just talking about John Byrne's Fantastic Four. Simonson and Brigman's Power Pack, Huntress, Batgirl, Ultron, Wonder Twins, and more. There you can see a nice cover by John Byrne. I'm a huge fan of these back issue magazines. I always love hearing the inspirations and the motivations for some of the various storylines or for the characters or what have you. You faithful denizens of the comic book dojo out there might remember that I mentioned Fantastic Four 232 on a previous edition of What Comics Did You Buy This Week? And that was Byrne's first issue as both writer and artist, which is what this issue follows up. So yes, this is actually absolutely a fantastic magazine for me. I had to take a trip out to Texas over the holiday. It was not planned, and I was not looking forward to it. But I was looking forward to reading this issue on the trip, and I was real excited about it. And you know what? I set this out to pack it where I could find it. And in that last day mad rush of getting all of my luggage together and making sure I had just everything that needed to be in my bags packed, I neglected to put this in my book bag. And when I went to grab it out and read it on the plane, I was like, what did I do with that magazine? I actually had other magazines that I wanted to pack, but this one that I had set to the side specifically so I would pack it and be able to read it on the plane, never made it on the plane. And for a couple days, I was worried. I was like, did I actually take it out on the plane? Did I put it in the back seat of the chair in front of me? You know, all of these bizarre possibilities were running through my mind. But no, I just left it at home, didn't pack it. So it stayed here in the comic book dojo for the entire time. Okay, so this is the stuff that I picked up at the secondhand store. I didn't grab anything new from the comic book shop. We'll make the trip down there this week. But I did order a lot of goodies online just to fill in some various runs and some things that I had been looking at for a while and telling myself that I wanted to get. Now, this is DC Marvel All Access number 4, and it is the final issue of the combined crossover from DC and Marvel. They produced 2 of these Access miniseries. Honestly, I couldn't tell you much about the storyline. It's kind of weird. There's a guy that has the power to cross between the universes, and at some point they're crossing uncontrollably, and all of the amalgam characters are created, you know, where they came up with these portmanteaus of various characters like Wolverine smashed with Batman and Bruce Wayne as a SHIELD agent or what have you. I mean, there was a whole list of them. Some of them I'm a huge fan of, like Thorian or Spider-Boy, or even what's the Green Lantern Iron Man one? It's like Iron Lantern or something to that effect. But anyway, I have all the issues. I have a lot of the amalgam issues, but the one that always eluded me was this final issue number 4. You know, I always, believe it or not, I wanted to see how this storyline wrapped up, even as as uninspiring fashion as it may be. I am a completist in that way. There you can see an ad for the relics. You know, this was way, way, way back in the day. It's got the great Sir Haxalot, Ron Mars, who I'm not a huge fan of, but nice, solid pencil work by Jackson Geis with inks by Joe Rubenstein. You know, Geis is one of those guys that always has solid fundamentals, and it really just depends on who his inker is as to how well his work jumps off the page. But it's always good, solid comic book work. And he is local to the North Carolina area somehow. I mean, he's always at Heroes Con. Couldn't tell you, you know, if he lives in this area or if he's in Virginia or what. But he is a fixture in the area, and I've always been a fan. Okay, going a little bit further back, I managed to find for a very good price, Marvel Premiere 45, featuring Manwolf. This is J. Jonah Jameson's son, who was an astronaut who found this magical rock on the moon that turned him into a wolfman, essentially. And at some point, he gets pulled into some sort of alternate D&D type universe, and he becomes this super man wolf where he's doing whatever. I haven't actually read this yet. I just got it. And, I just love the whole notion of this. If you follow this channel or, any of my games over on the Stribo's Vault, Striborama channel, you'll know that I'm a big D&D nerd. I play a lot of Pathfinder. I love Rifts, all of that kind of stuff. And this stuff came out at the original height of the Dungeons and Dragons craze of the late 70s and early 80s. So it's this bizarre mix of D&D and Star Wars just all mushed into one, and you have the man wolf. Sword and sorcery beyond the stars. I love it. I love the crazy concepts like that. Just great stuff. Now, if you flip it open, you'll see it has George Perez and Frank Giacoia as the artists. So you've got great classic George Perez artwork, inks by Giacoia. So good stuff. Very solid all the way through. There you can see J. Jonah popping up. But anyway, this is not a review. This is just what comics did you buy? Also, I'm filling in a few blanks in my Iron Fist collection. I have several of these just scattered out throughout various runs. I have the majority of the Power Man and Iron Fist run, but I really want to go back and fill in the entirety of the John Byrne, Chris Claremont run on the early Iron Fist. This was one of Byrne's first full-time penciling gigs for Marvel, and it's just absolutely fantastic. It always blows me away if you look at Byrne's work on these Iron Fist stories and how it varies so wildly, just solely based on the inker. There were inkers that made Byrne look almost pedestrian, but with the right inker, like a guy like Terry Austin, who has a really fine, delicate line, he really just brings out the nuance of Byrne, and I'm a huge fan of it. There you can see an ad, a Jack Kirby ad for Big Jim's Pack. It's like a G.I. Joe ripoff, what have you. But anyway, these are all books that I ordered online. And actually, up next, I warned you about these. I told you they were coming. And lo and behold, they are here. So, I'm on a tear right now where I want to fill in my early Defenders issues. And for some reason, I decided, you know what? I want to get these pre-Defenders storylines where the individual characters crossed over, Doctor Strange, Submariner, the Hulk, and eventually the Silver Surfer, where they crossed over for whatever reasons, and all of that interaction led to them becoming the Defenders. So rather than forking out a whole lot for an original printing of Marvel Feature number 1, presenting the Defenders, I actually went with the facsimile version, which for most collectors, I mean, unless you're like a super nerd that absolutely has to have the original printings, or if you're, God forbid, a speculator that just wants these for the monetary value, I really recommend the facsimile versions. I mean, they're really great to me because they recreate the books as they were originally printed. I mean, you get to see, the original ads, the original pageations are the same. Nothing has really changed. It's reprinted on a nice glossy paper. The coloring is usually brighter and stronger, and they're just fantastic. So I love it. So here you go. So this was the first time that the Defender's name appeared on a comic book, and this was the launch of what would become the Defenders series. Now, I also managed to grab number 2 and number 3. Marvel Feature presents the Defenders. Number 2, number 3, original prints. This was a single lot that I purchased. I got it for a really reasonable price. Like I said, I don't like to put a whole lot of money into these kind of things, but I will drop a little bit just to get a hold of books that I've really wanted for a long, long time. And these make me happy. So who knows? Maybe we'll see some more Defenders stuff pop up in a superhero spotlight series. Or maybe I could talk about this on an episode of Rarities, because these are definitely rare, and it is a a unique storyline and a unique way to build this super team, this super non-team, as the Defenders were called. That always appealed to me, that they were this strange team that wasn't really a team, as opposed to the Avengers, who like all supposedly lived together and hung out together and did all these things. But the Defenders could barely get along. They were barely a group. But when the world was being menaced by strange otherworldly creatures like this big furry demon here or whatever, they would come together and do what needed to be done. I also grabbed another issue that has eluded me for a long time. Nothing real spectacular about it. It's just number 43. I had all of the issues leading up to this, and then for whatever reason, I just never had this issue, so I could never see how this storyline wrapped up, where they had been dealing with like the Eggman for a few issues before it. There you can see Egghead, one of the least intimidating villains of all time. I'm surprised he didn't show up on the She-Hulk series, but anyway, there you go. These are kind of the odd things I like to do. I love to fill in my runs, my collections, and you never know which one is going to come to the forefront of my mind and really just make me obsess over it. But like any collector, you kind of spend your life wanting to get these various books, and then when you see a good deal, you're like, oh yeah, now's my chance to grab this and fill in some holes to my collection. Now, another collection that I've been filling in is my run of the original Captain Marvel. So I'm trying to grab all of the pieces to that. This is an adjacent piece here that features the Blood Brothers. So you've got artwork by Jim Starlin with the great inker Joe Sinnott to give it this kind of Kirby Fantastic Four sheen to it. And you can see this is all part of the original Thanos storyline, where he had gained the Cosmic Cube, which was eventually, retrofitted to be part of the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet and all that, at least in the MCU. I'm not sure if it was ever actually part of the Infinity Stones in the Marvel comic continuity, but this was his original attempt to gain godlike powers and whatnot. So yes, finally grabbed a hold of this. This is another Marvel feature. Number 12 presents The Thing and Iron Man. At first I thought that, this is like a Marvel 2-in-1 because it was always the Thing teaming up with somebody, but nope, it's Marvel feature. So there you go. I filled that in. Now wait, check this out. This is something I've wanted for a long time, and we finally have it. Captain Marvel 25. He's still silver-haired. The first Jim Starlin issue, when Jim Starlin took over, and this series took a light year leap forward. And and really, honestly, it changed, in my opinion, changed Marvel Comics, and of course, it had a huge influence on what would become the MCU. And because of Captain Marvel and like the character of Adam Warlock, both given most substance by writer-artist Jim Starlin, because of them, they were a huge influence on what is the MCU, obviously, with the huge Thanos storyline and everything. And which is why I'm always bummed out that the MCU just kind of ignores the original Captain Marvel, and they've kind of tried to retcon him out of existence. But you know what? I don't care. I love being able to finally add these to my collection, something that I've wanted for such a long time. And it's really great to compare these books to their contemporaries and just see how far advanced they are. Like if you compare this to, say, a Green Lantern book of the same time, this was what, 1972. I mean, you'll see some major advances. So 1972 was the very end of what we know as the Silver Age, but these characters, Captain Marvel and especially Adam Warlock, definitely heralded the more complex, deep-thinking age of superheroes that would become part and parcel of what most people call the Bronze Age, but what I refer to as the Dark Age. Now wait, there's more, or am I supposed to say, but wait, there's more. Number 26, got the very next issue as well. Captain Marvel, still silver-haired. Here Thing even calls him Silvertop here on the cover. You've got, this is the second or third appearance of Thanos and maybe his first cover appearance. I'm not sure. I'll have to go and actually look those stats up. But anyway, again, I got these for a great price, not for, you know, the ridiculous amounts that you see speculators trying to sell them for nowadays. Gosh, just look at these illustrations by Starlin. This is just such innovative stuff, and he really put his heart and soul into all of these. Just absolutely fascinating work. Okay, so I scored those online. Also, we see a return of the back issue magazine. This is issue number 135 from June of 2022. So this is a much more recent issue. But I actually had to drop a pretty penny on this, a little bit more than I normally like to. I think I spent about 20 bucks on it, which is about my max for a back issue magazine. I mean, I don't like to spend that much on it, but I'm a sucker for these cosmic superhero type stories. I love the Silver Surfer, so I just wanted to get this. I wanted to see what it had to offer. It would actually be much cheaper if I just bought the PDF from the Tomorrow's website. I'll go ahead and say that, even though they're not sponsoring Comic-Jutsu, but hey, if you guys see this, I know you're based in North Carolina, and if you need to sponsor a YouTube channel, Comic-Jutsu is here for you. You know, we'll tell people all about Tomorrow's publishing, but until then, we'll just keep moving right along, and I'll give you a quick little flip through of part of this magazine. Absolutely loved it. So I paid a pretty penny for this one, but it balanced out by getting this one for absolutely next to nothing. Issue number 38, and that is, looks like a date of 2010 there. I can't quite read the month number on there. It's a little obscured in the way that that font kind of blends into the background there. But anyway, so there you go. Got those at the secondhand store, ordered online. And now, last and certainly not least, my piece de resistance. One of my final Merry Christmas to me, Happy Birthday to me. Thank you, JT. You're welcome. Here you go. Boom, boom. Jim Lee's X-Men Artist Edition from IDW. Brand new. I already opened it up out of the box, took the plastic off and everything. This copy is actually just slightly dinged up. Maybe that's why I got it for a little bit less than the regular price. I'm not a huge, freak about little dings like that, especially if I can get something for less than the full price. But, Jim Lee, I was there when he burst onto the scene. To me, he was like John Byrne 2.0. He was everything that was great about these guys like John Byrne, Frank Miller, Mike Zeck. He was all of them rolled into one, and then some. I'm not as crazy about his modern art, so to speak. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm just glad that I was able to get one of his artist editions at such a reasonable price. I know when these things are sold out, the price is just going to skyrocket through the roof. But I love these artist editions. These have been a real revelation for me in recent years. I didn't know about them until I discovered them, through online culture, online comic culture. And then about the same time I learned about them online, I started seeing them pop up in some of the local comic shops, but never the ones that I wanted. So I was thrilled to actually be able to get a hold of this Jim Lee artist edition. So here you go. I'm probably going to do a rarities where I take a look at these as a total in a whole, the four particular books that I bought, and then maybe come back and do some flip throughs of the entire series. I don't have the camera really positioned to feature this particular book because it's so darn big, but I didn't want everything else to be so small in the frame, and then just this one book be the right size, the right aspect ratio here at the end. But there you go. There are the comics that I bought this week. Thank you for watching. As always, comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. Keep watching Comic-Jutsu, keep spreading the good word, and we'll be back with more Comic Book Dojo fight breakdowns, issues of rarities, and we're probably going to launch our commentary walkthroughs of Grant Morrison's The Invisible series very, very soon. So see you in 2 and 2. Mate!